Welcome back to CFB Nation. I am your host, Nino Brown. I got one half of the Dynasty Dogs with me, my co-host, Mykel Anthony. And we're about what? I think it's 4 weeks out, about a month out from the draft.
It's actually a month. Yeah, the month just happened, I think, a day or two ago. So we
So
are officially a month out.
we're gonna we've wrapped up the offensive side of the ball. I'm dragging my man through the ringer here, and we're gonna run through the defensive side of the ball. Episodes will be a little bit shorter. We may or may not be joined by a guest. He might be tied up this evening, but if he has the opportunity, he'll hop on. We're talking defensive line. We're gonna be talking some dirt dogs, some trench work. These guys get their hand in the mud and just get grimy with it. But first off, Mike, how we doing?
Good, man. You definitely you didn't have to pull my leg to get on here, but this is definitely outside my Matt forte, to be honest, bringing it back to the offensive side of the ball. But this was fun, honestly, watching a lot of these trench workers. Obviously, this is probably the meat and potatoes of the class, right? Some good depth to this class as well. I know there's a lot of high-end talent, but there's some really good depth, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it here shortly as well.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting class. Grouping the last couple of years, we had some like depth at the linebacker and safety. Grouping. I think the defensive line all around, even at the nose tackle position, is kind of loaded for the first time in quite some time. It's going to be interesting, I think, when we get into this segment here, that this guy or that guy, right off the rip, like I think we're coming in with two like just real violent players, right? Like very similar, but they also kind of different. I'm gonna let you start it off here. We're gonna go with Toledo's Darius Alexander versus Deion Walker out of Kentucky. Talk to me about who you liked first.
This one's actually pretty easy for me. I'm trying to find my notes on him real quick. It's going to be Alexander from Toledo. Surprisingly enough, like the dude Walker from Kentucky, and I don't know why I said dude Walker from Kentucky, but Deion Walker's how you say it.
Yeah, Deion, yeah.
Deion Walker from Kentucky. We saw him down at the Senior Bowl. He is a massive human being,
Yeah.
right? That's really all that he is, in my opinion. When you're that big, we kind of noticed it with I'm not comping them because it's different, but we noticed that with Jordan Davis's first year, right? It was kind of like a slow burn for him right away because he couldn't really keep up. He wasn't consistent enough. He was just kind of there. He was just a body presence, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But if I want a difference maker defensive lineman, give me Alexander all day, every day. Strong dude. I sent you the video where he's just dragging the one dude one-handed backwards. Yeah, it was nutty. And like he's so quick too. Like he's not the biggest. 305 pounds is pretty decent size, but I wouldn't say he's like a massive human by any stretch of the imagination. Anyone who's like over 300 is pretty damn big.
Yeah.
But like you're comparing him to a dude that's what? Where is that at?
He's 6'7", 331.
Yeah, so it's like his movement skills are different. He's just I would say almost just as strong, to be honest with you. And this is just a guy who can wreck games. And he played a little bit of the edge, or at least an outside defensive lineman. So I really like Alexander.
If you look at the numbers, right, and I know people are going to say, stats, and the competition was a little bit different. Like Walker was a 3-year SEC starter. That says something, you know what I mean? Like that's going to automatically kind of give you a little notch on the belt there. I was a big fan. He kind of took a step back for me from his junior year to his senior year. Last year, he didn't have as much explosive. He wasn't as dominant in the backfield for me for Walker. And when we were at Mobile, like day one, I thought he kind of dominated, but I think he kind of like exposed himself a little bit day one because we watched him get stood up by Lumpkin, who was what?
Good thing you said that because I was going to ask you, was that who got the dude from North Carolina up under his chest?
Yeah, I got right up on him and stood this dude up. I mean, you look at a whole foot different size, 100, at least 100 pounds almost in weight. And it was like, I saw that a lot this year. Like his leverage wasn't good. And when he got stood up, right, man, he couldn't control. He ended up going backwards. They didn't stop him. So when it comes to him, he's a heavy hitter. He's got heavy hands, right? But if the hand game don't work and he ain't moving the guy around, he kind of doesn't have another option to go to. There's no spin move. He's like Cinderella, like, man. It doesn't happen. It's super slow, right? He has a good bull rush, but that's kind of all he has in his toolbox to me. But when those aren't working, he doesn't have anything back to fall out. But when they are working, man, he can be super dominant because of the size, right? And because of the length that he brings. and he's a gap filler, but he has very little burst off the line of scrimmage. Like he takes a lot of it's his weight, and momentum to kind of keep the guy going backwards. When it comes to Alexander, spring loaded is what I told you. Like this guy's like coiled up, pow. As soon as this ball snaps, this dude's firing at you for a guy that size, 6'4", 305. Like a 305-pound guy should not be running sub, 540s, in my opinion. Like that just shouldn't happen. Another thing for Walker that I kind of was a red flag for me was like, you barely got up 22 reps.
I didn't.
331 pounds at 6'7", bro. That should be like a day in the park, bro. That should be 30. We got about 5 guys today alone at their pro day that put up 30+ reps at 225. Granted, Alexander put up 28, but he's got 30 less pounds to him, and he put up 6 more reps. So, like, the strength, I call Walker a first half, and it's not a first half in the game. It's the first half of quarters. If there are long drives, Deion Walker gets fatigued fast, and the effort, I wouldn't say the effort, but the product that you get from the beginning of the quarter to the end of the quarter is drastically different. He would have to get his conditioning or figure it out at the next level, because he would be, positional. He would be like down, situational player, and not an every down guy, where I think Alexander could be an every down guy. I call him to be Honda. I think his hand game is just, he moves it so well. It gives him extra space, causes him separation. He's not sliding any gaps, right? It's just not something he's going to do at his size, but he can create a gap that wasn't there with his hands, and he's got a nice dragon twist to him. So I'm going to take Alexander here as well.
Chip Kelly used to say when he was here is that big people beat up little people. Right. And that's not really necessarily the case when it comes to Walker, to be honest with you. He gets beat up a little bit after, a couple quarters, a couple drives.
I've seen a lot of games, man, in 24 where, like, late in the second quarter, he was on the field for a long drive. Man, he was huffing and puffing a lot. You know what I mean? Having trouble getting back to the line of scrimmage. So he's got some work. I think he has success at the next level. I just think there's some things that he needs to work on, and needs to get another tool in that toolbox for him to be successful.
Real quick on that, when I mentioned Jordan Davis, Philadelphia, like fans, we get a little agitated very quickly, right? People are coming out.
New England does too, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, I know. But you guys won like 18 Super Bowls in 5 minutes, so it's kind of like it's kind of similar to Walker, especially Jordan Davis's first year. People are like, "Oh, this dude's out of shape. This dude's like gassed after a couple drives. This dude's blah, blah, blah." Dude, I just saw. So first off, this year for Jordan Davis was a complete 180, in my opinion. Right. He looked better. I just saw a recent picture of him. He don't even look like the same fucking dude anymore. Lean, like, I got to send it to you when I find it again. The dude looks different. Maybe that's kind of the outcome Walker could have.
He didn't look like Davis came in with like a belly. We saw that, though. Like, we knew it. Jordan Davis coming had a belly. Like, that was just the way he operated. At 6'7", 331, they talk about holding your weight. Like, 6'7" is tall, people. Like, I don't.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm 6'2", and that's a monster.
And you're on your tippy toes. You're still looking up to that dude. You know what I mean? Like, he holds 331 well. It's not like it's just a big jiggly belly out.
No.
So I don't know if it's more, maybe it's conditioning. Maybe he needs, better condition or whatever it may be, but he needs to work on some things. And I'm not trying to knock this dude. I'm not saying he's not an NFL talent. He's an NFL talent and can be a difference maker.
For sure.
For him to be on the field for, say 60% of the defensive snaps, there's going to have to be some kind of condition and not be a liability when it comes down the stretch. So,
and you also mentioned it, helmet scouting, because Kentucky, obviously an SEC school, and then Toledo is what? The hell are they? What's that?
Right. I think are they the MAC? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. The MAC. So you can't always look at that for instance. That's another thing you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and in the community, unfortunately, we get a lot of helmet scouting, but it is what it is.
Right.
I don't want people to think I'm being a homer here, but the next one is Edge. Mike Green from Marshall versus Donovan Ezra from Boston College. Listen, I like Mike Green. Okay, I think, he is explosive as hell off that line. I watched him commit homicide, back-to-back plays. And see, I'm talking straight murder. Like, there should have been cops booking this dude and how bad he was crushing guys off the edge. Like, you want to talk about coil loaded, bro? Holy shit.
Yeah,
this guy's
scary.
Instant, like, boom, off the line, off that snap is crazy. He confuses people with how fast he comes off the line of scrimmage. But is he an edge at the NFL level? Like, can he play edge at his size? Is he a true edge, or is he a linebacker at the next level? That's the question I have. His instincts, great. Motor, Energizer Bunny. Guy just never stops. He can play bigger than his size, but then there are moments where you see him play to his size, and he is an immediate red flag when it comes to in coverage. Don't ask this man to drop back. I think he dropped back maybe 20 times in his whole career at Marshall. So he just went down one direction only, and that was it. He was looking for leather, and that's all he wanted to do. When you talk about this other gentleman, he comes to you with a 5-course meal and a plan of attack, right? I said it to you in the group. He is the most seasoned plan of attack man in this edge group, bar none. He goes through every single tool in the toolbox to win. If the first one ain't working, he just goes spin move, club move, punch. He goes through it, and a lot of the times he gets effort sacks and cleanup sacks. Is that what you got there too?
Every move in the arsenal is the first sentence.
That's what he does. I mean, it's apparent. It just jumps off the screen. And he lost to Mike Green for sacks and tackles for loss by a half and one for the whole season. And he played in a P4 school. This dude, because Boston College really doesn't turn out a lot of product recently anyway, but Luke Kuechly was probably one of the best NFL linebackers to ever play the game. So I don't want to hear that Boston College can't produce defensive players, right? This guy is kind of flying under the radar. I think this dude is going to get drafted a lot higher. I've been saying it since week 1 of the season that Donovan as a rock brew was top 5, and he was not 5 in this class. He's a first-round draft pick, and I will stand on that shit until I choke on it. Donovan Arasbru is a top 32 player. He will go in the first round, and I will take him over Mike Green because I think he has more tools. He's just more versatile, and he can drop back, and he's a guy that's going to pick up that line. Like, right, maybe not right away as a rookie. He's not going to be that voice, but you give him a year or two in the team, and he's going to be that veteran leader that you want, a guy that's holds everybody accountable, including himself.
So both of these guys, it's kind of hard to pick one who I like more, to be honest with you, because both of them have an extremely high motor, in my opinion. I do think Mike Green, and I'm just basing this off of like kind of their weight and just the way they look on screen. Mike Green looks a little bit more compact as a edge rusher, just like from the side. He just looks more built up, like he could put his hand in the dirt. I do think outside linebacker is a possibility for him. I would like as a rock boom more as an outside linebacker than I would as a hand in the dirt edge rusher. Not saying he can't do it, because he can, but like I think when he's standing, that moves, that quick twitch, all the stuff that he has, he's going to make a lot of tackles look foolish. And I think that would be the best for him. He's a bit smaller, 6'2", 248, right? Not as compact, but this dude's fucking dangerous. I could see why you like him, to be honest with you. And he's always poking at the ball, too. And I kind of like that. He had a strip sack against Spatial, or a strip against Spatial, too, where he came up behind him, stripped it out. He had a strip sack, I believe it was against Syracuse, where he kicked the ball into the back of the end zone by accident as he was trying to pick it up. But
yeah.
This one was really tough for me, and I kind of like want to put our first. I'll let the draft tell me which one's better, but I kind of like as a rock boo a little bit more as well.
I don't want people to think I don't like Mike Green. I think Mike Green is a bulldozer. I think this kid is a pit bull. But when it comes to a guy that I think, do I think both of these guys day one are 3-down defensive linemen? I don't know. I don't know if they can be on the. They may be situational to start, right? Yeah, maybe more of a pass rush type of guy. But I think when it comes to coverage, I think as a rock can drop back coverage. So maybe if they wanted him to be a linebacker, he could play that role if they need to.
I think he'd be a better linebacker than Greenwood.
If he adds a little bit of size, maybe he could play that Terrell Suggs type role, right, and be that hybrid type guy. He would have to add a little bit, maybe 15 pounds. But we've seen shit happen. We've seen Zay Flowers put on 12 pounds in a month. So things can happen. But I just think it kind of, I guess, Mike, what I would say was good. The landing spot for these guys could be a tale of who could have a better NFL career, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of where I was going. Let the NFL draft tell me.
One of these guys lands in a 3-4 type defense, then the opportunity varies, right? But if you get a guy in a 4-3 and he's going to be playing that edge type role the whole time, maybe that fits Green. I see Green in like a Baltimore type scheme, like
a good one. I was going to say the Chargers,
like a replacing Bosa type deal. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I could see that. Like that's the type of player I see. I think he's a difference maker. But there are flaws to his game, so you have to take that into consideration.
I also don't think the gap between them two is that vast, to be honest with you.
It's a slice of paper.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So I hear a lot of people not talk about Ezra Rock because he's out here, in the Northeast in Chestnut Hills, and nobody really talk about Boston college football for a while. You know what I mean? Now that Bill O'Brien's around, and now we got some dudes and they're showing up, and now we're bringing them. Finally had all 32 teams at the pro day, so it started to come around.
We're making noise now, right?
Yeah, all of a sudden, people starting to hop on the train. All right, let's get on to the next one here. TJ Sanders out of South Carolina versus Alfred Collins, Texas. Talk to me.
I really liked Alfred Collins, to be honest with you. This dude, not the most athletic dude, but damn. There were a couple screen passes where he was just making the right play and getting out there and making a tackle. Like, for a big dude, 332, 6'6", he fucking moves, man. Deion Walker, nowhere near the athletic profile that Alfred, I almost said Alfred Morris, running back. Holy shit. My brain just kicked off for a second there. But I really liked Alfred Collins, man. Not only does he move well, he's strong as shit too.
Yeah,
driving offensive linemen backwards constantly. I really liked Collins. Jeez, I did it again.
I know where you're going. I think the people at home know where you're going with it too.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of TJ Sanders, right, and this was probably his best season. He's a run stopper. He's versatile. He can play all tech 0-5. So that I think will draw a lot of interest from teams. Bro, I wrote it down 3 times, literally. Hands. Sanders' hands game is top notch, but that's kind of the main tool in his box, right?
I have not as powerful.
Yeah, no, he's not. He did run a sub 540, which I like at 6'4", 297. So he's under 300 pounds. 31 and a half inch vertical leap for a big guy. That's pretty good, right? Athletic compared to Collins, who barely gets off the ground, right? So it's like, but 6'6", what'd you say? 332, I believe it was, right? Yeah,
that's what I have written down from the combine.
You said he's not athletic, but his lateral.
I said not as athletic.
Okay, all right, as athletic. All right.
Yeah, actually, what I have is not the most athletic guy, but damn, he moves all right and active in screens.
Yeah, like his lateral quickness, like I talked about in the screen game, kind of mind-blowing for a guy at that size and how he can move around, right? He does amazing football IQ. Like, I feel like he kind of processes, the run game very well, where they're going with the ball, his size. I think he has, like I said, I mentioned the lateral, that is as athleticism. You can't deny that. You see it. I call him Snap-on, bro. He has a lot of tools in his box, bro. But my question is, if everybody wanted to question Bo Nix's age, my man's going to take his first snap in defense at 24 years old. You cool with that?
Yeah. I don't think the NFL cares about that anymore. We've seen it year in and year out now. At 24, I don't think that's a big deal anymore.
Okay. You can take 24 at a guy that's 6'6", 332. A little lot of weight on those bone structure. When we go back, we'll have to look at it. I want me to go back in this off week and look back. What's the longevity of guys that are over 6'5" and 330 pounds? How many guys get more than 2 contracts?
That's fair. That's a very good point. I didn't even think of it that way.
Your bones aren't made to have that weight on.
Yeah,
be
true.
Violent for that long.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then to start that at age 24, just think about this now. He's going to be going against some offensive linemen that are 20, 21.
Fair. Yeah. I didn't even think of it. I didn't even really think of it that way. I was just watching that. sometimes I watch a little bit too much of the
I
film.
like him. I like his game.
Yeah.
I would take him over TJ, but I have an age concern here.
Mhm.
What you coming
Well,
in your
So say for instance, and again, I hate to bring up the Eagles again, but like say he ends up there, right? Where he's a rotational defensive tackle.
it's a
right?
luxury.
Yeah.
I think him going to a team is a luxury. He goes to Buffalo, how they rotate defensive linemen. Who gives a shit that he's 24 years old?
Yeah, exactly.
But he
That
can't go
could
to New
happen
England.
now. Yeah.
Right. He can't go to New England because I need a guy that's gonna be playing every down. We know what I mean? Like that so that's what I'm saying. Like his age will play a factor in where he goes draft stock because of where he lines up in scheme. If you have a team that always drafts defensive linemen, an edge, and they rotate like Buffalo does, and other teams in the league do, like Minnesota kind of does the same thing. They rotate the defensive line. Then who gives a shit that he's 24 years old as a rookie?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I'm going to get him, 15, 20 snaps a game, and then he'll go on from there. But it'd be season. Maybe he gets a second contract here. Maybe he doesn't. We'll have to see that. But that's another reason why he's probably not going to be a top 40 pick.
Because the 8, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, let's get to the next guy here. Texas A&M against Texas A&M. Edge Nick Scourton versus Shamar Stewart. I'm gonna let you lead this one off too because we saw Stewart live and in person in Mobile. So
I gotta find my notes on these two guys real quick.
You want me to go first then?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm trying to find it.
All right.
Go ahead. So for me, I can't put my notes on screen because that screws me up. Like I want to look over here, but then I have it on my phone and it also creates a fucking issue. So I gotta find like a happy medium somewhere.
Yeah, right here. Hey, right here.
That's how I used to do it, but then the fucking crazy thing is and this is gonna sound like the dog ate my homework, but like my dogs find paper and they'll rip it the fuck up. Like that's what happens.
Are your dogs 8 feet tall, bro? Like on a shelf?
Yeah, my dogs are pretty. Yeah, maybe not 8 foot tall. Maybe they're not like that, but yeah.
Well, when it comes to Nick Scourton, he had kind of a little bit of an off season, right? Like the year before was a little bit better. When it came to sacks, I think he had 5 less sacks but he only had 1 less tackle for loss. So we saw that when he leveled up, and went to the top dogs in the SEC, he can be that guy, right? 6'3", 247. He ran a 4.7 40, bro. 4.7 40. I'll take that from a guy. You're talking in 90th percentile for a guy that size and weight, right? Bro, Spinderella cut him up one time because my man could spin you out of your shorts. Like this dude you don't even expect it. But it gives me Dwight Freeney vibes all over the place. His spin move. Because Dwight Freeney was the king, bro. And when it came, there was no stop. When this guy wants to spin and get you on your tippy toes, there's no way you're stopping it. He brings the boom, right? He comes with the thunder and the hammer. He got power and strength. I call him double trouble, bro. This guy, he does everything you need him to do. And he's disciplined, bro. He has good pad level. Like sometimes he does get kind of caught up, but in reality, a lot of these guys do, right? Like it just happens. But for the most part, he's pretty disciplined. He has a good motor, Energizer Bunny. The guy just keeps coming. And unlike his counterpart, what you see on film shows up on a stat sheet. Okay? Now we talk about Shamar Stewart, freak, absolute freak athlete. 4.59 40. I was happy about 4.7 40 with Scourton. This guy blew him out of the box, right?
Right.
You want to talk about an angry, violent man? I thought he was going to throw the tackle on dummies when it came to drills in Mobile. I thought them things were going in the end zone the way he was throwing. Cat, call this dude up and give him a deal when he gets drafted because he's an absolute bulldozer. He needs an endorsement deal from Cat. 83 and 4-inch wingspan. But that almost 92 percentile. This guy takes up a lot of space and comes quickly, right? With power and IQ. But we didn't see it. We saw it on film, but it didn't produce the numbers. A lot of times he got to the backfield, but the sack didn't happen. Or he pushed the guy into the runner, but he didn't get, accounted for the tackle for loss because he just didn't get there. And he caused the skirmish, but he didn't finish the product. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so when I was looking into him and getting ready to watch the film and looking at notes and stuff like that, a lot of people have the athletic ability is there, the play style is there, but it hasn't produced into anything of note. And that is like several different reports that I'm reading on Stewart. And that it's really not the best, because obviously you want somebody who's going to finish as well, but you're also right. You want them to, he's setting the edge and he's driving the quarterback forward and he's running into tackles or other defensive. So he's being disruptive, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. I also want him to finish the fucking play. So one of the things I noticed with him is that he over pursues a little bit, or he's not exactly the most instinctual player. I forget what game I texted you or I messaged you about. I can't remember what game it was, where he was driving the tackle back. And I get it. It's not the easiest thing to pay attention to what the quarterback's doing while you're fucking pushing a 300-pound man backwards, right? I can't, I could never fucking do it, right? So he lost track of the ball. Now the running back's gaining, 4 or 5 extra yards because now the edge rusher's not there. So, and that was also something else I noticed on some other notation stuff, is that he's not always he has no plan of attack in place other than kill
adjustment.
Yeah. He's like, his brain is, I'm going to kill the quarterback.
Yes.
And that's it. And that's it. So that's why I kind of like Scourton. How do you say it? Scourton?
Nick Scourton.
Yeah, that. I think he's super strong athlete. Shows a variety of moves. I think his get off the snap is actually pretty solid. I don't think it's like lightning kind of like Stewart is, but it's solid. He drives players backwards. Also a guy who can disrupt the rush game too as well. So I'm going to go Scourton as well.
I'm right there with you. My question was, and I talked with SC about this before, is can he produce at the next level? Right? We see him do it, I think it was Purdue or somewhere like that. I think he went to before he went to A&M, and he put up numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 15 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks. So those double-digit numbers, both key departments. Went to Texas A&M with Stewart on the other side, right? Who wasn't putting up numbers. So it wasn't like he was feasting on Stewart's success. He was the guy having the success, and Stewart couldn't feast. That also speaks volumes for me. And he was only 1 tackle for loss off. He didn't have as many sacks, but he was still productive, right? We still saw. My main thing with Stewart is whatever, he has the tools. But he can't pull a Donovan after Rockville and go through the tools to make it work. If he's going, I'm going out around the edge to go for but he doesn't cut back in, right? He won't like stutter in or show a hezzy to change direction, to kind of throw the offensive line. He just keeps going where he's going. Like you said, next thing you know, now you look at the back of the running back when you could have just blasted him from the side or one arm to slow him down. So for that reason, I think I want Scourton. I just think he's more tuned in with what he has to offer and bring to the table. We're running a little heavy on this one, so we're gonna skip a little segment. We're gonna one more guy in this segment. I'm gonna do Ole Miss versus Ole Miss, right? Jared Ivey versus Princely Millen, and I'm gonna let you go first.
I am gonna go. So wait, did we skip over the Virginia Tech one? Because I was excited to talk about him.
That's the last guy.
That's the last one? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to skip over that. Would you rather do that one first?
Yeah, I would rather do that one.
Let's do Isaiah Stackhouse against Aeneas Peebles.
So I'm going to go Peebles over Stackhouse, to be honest with you. I was super impressed with Peebles. This is not a guy I really knew much of anything about, right? 6 foot, 282 pounds. Obviously, small stature, right? Not the biggest dude in the world. Before I kind of get into what I liked about his film, I'm going to take a quote from Jason Kelsey recently. He did a podcast. He talked about the hardest players that he had to face. Obviously, Aaron Donald was one of them, Snacks Harrison, Dexter Lawrence. He said the guy that gave him the most issues was Poona Ford. Poona Ford? Who the fuck is that?
He just got paid, though. He just got paid.
Yeah. Most bad. It's probably because of Jason Kelsey, but that dude was 5'11", 300 pounds, 32.7 inch arm length, which is about 1 inch over what Peebles has. The reason why I'm saying this is just because the dude is a smaller stature doesn't mean he can't win at the NFL level, right? Sometimes these smaller defensive tackles give offensive linemen fits, right? And I think Pebbles, He's powerful. He has a fucking twister of a spin move.
Mhm.
Like that, like it was so fucking impressive to me how quick and agile he was, especially in that spin move. And when it comes to Stackhouse, I was not impressed at all. You want to talk about helmet scouting from a Georgia aspect? He's slow, he was strong, but that's about it, in my opinion.
Well, he's a nose tackle. You show me a nose tackle that's fast, homie.
But Pep, I mean,
he's not a nose tackle. He's a defensive lineman. He can play. He's not just sitting in the middle. Yeah. You know what I mean? I like Peoples better because I think Peoples brings more versatility. Stackhouse has to go to a team that plays in a heavy run conference. He goes to a Green Bay, a Chicago, Minnesota, something like that. I mean, you're talking about a guy that just eats running backs, bro. 45 plus run stops in 2 years. Like, you just sit there in the middle of the field and clog the hole. But that's what he's made to do. That's what they want him to do. That's what Georgia wanted him to do. He didn't need to do anything else. They told him, you sit in the A and the B gap and you just cause mass confusion and eat running backs. That's what you do. Like, for a guy his size, check out his knee bend and how he moves for a guy his size in the middle of the field. Not many nose tackles got to bend like he does, okay? Upper body strength he has. The lower body strength,
I kind of seen him get a little bit pushed around a little bit. He's strong, but like I don't know if he knows if the technique is there. To be honest with you, like,
maybe the technique can be polished. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, when I talk about pebbles, man, I'm talking about a guy who runs the arsenal. Another guy like Ezra Rock will go right through each move to win. Right. He's always looking for leather. If he's running out the edge and it's a delay or a counter, he comes off whatever he's doing and just attacks the running back. Right.
He's smart, man.
He's explosive. Right? He's a force at all times. And this is another guy. 20-plus run stops. 2 different teams. He did it at Duke before, and he went to Virginia Tech. Granted, still in the ACC, but it's still a Power 4 conference team. And this dude consistently stopped the run. We can go down the list.
He can rush, too. He can rush, too.
For ACC, bottom of the P4, there was a lot of running backs out of the ACC that were good this year, and he had to face them. So, I like Peoples here. I think Stackhouse could have a very good NFL career being a run stop. Because nose tackles, their longevity, bro. There's not a lot. They don't last forever. You know what I mean? So, all right.
I'll say, to be honest, Peoples and Alexander are probably the 2 people that you had me watch that were my favorite players in this exercise. To be honest with you.
I love it. I love Alexander, and I love that you were like, yo, this dude, really? There was some plays we watched. I sent you another clip. I wanted you to see it. It was like the 5:45 mark where the dude just kind of dragged across, the offensive line with one hand, took 2 guys out of the way. So that his edge just blast right through and just destroy the quarterback untouched. But if it wasn't for him drawing 2 guys on his own, it probably doesn't do anything. They might have even, converted the play. So I just think he's a difference maker instantaneously. We're going to jump off over that edge.
Yeah, sorry, I got excited about
That's all right. We're going to talk about real quick. We're just going to touch real quick on who you think is your late round sleeper on the defensive line. For me, I'm going to go with Fadil Diggs. I think that this kid, kind of goes under the radar. A lot of people talk about Marlo Wax over there, and then Justin Barrett at the linebacker position. He's talking about a kid that's like 42 total pressures this year, right? Run stopper, almost 30 run stops. Dude is a difference maker. You have to account for him. Can drop back and attack the ball. I truly believe consistently. He went from SEC downgraded to Syracuse, but he's still, I say downgraded, still a P4 school, but it's a tier down, unfortunately. And he still just kept churning where it got better. I think this kid is someone that maybe, let me see, top 90 pick. He falls in it. Maybe top, in the early 4th round, this guy gets picked and he comes in and this is a dude that you're like, oh shit. Like, who am I trying to think of? Like Keon White went what? 3rd round, 2nd round?
3rd round sounds right.
I think it's 3rd round. Like, I think he could play like a Keon White type impact role for the Patriots. Like year 1, Keon White had some moments. Year 2, we started to see what Keon White could be for the Patriots. I think he's going to be. He lost a little bit weight, got a little leaner this year. I think he's going to be a force again this season. So I like Fadil Diggs. I think he's a guy that's going to get drafted, late 3rd, early 4th, and be an impact player.
So my guy is probably a 4th round pick as well, maybe even later. It's going to be Jaw Joyner Minnesota edge rusher, 6'4", 262 pounds, great size, great length. He ran the fifth best 40 time when it comes to edge rushers at a 4.6 flat. He has some really good speed, really good bend coming off the edge. I think this is the kind of dude where he's almost like a mold of clay because he's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the what's the word? The motor. It just needs to be polished more, if that makes sense. Like the move set needs to get a little bit better. The quickness needs get a bit better, in my opinion. But I would really this dude can play though, in my opinion. Especially in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I like this kid's football IQ for a kid that wasn't known for being get your hands up type dude. I mean, Kai had almost 10 pass blocks this year. Mm-hmm. Like, he was getting his
that length, man.
Yeah, he got up there, but he had the length the last 3 years prior to that, and barely was touching any of it. But I think he had 7 this year alone. So yeah, I like his IQ. Like you said, Minnesota, Big Ten guy. These defensive linemen are trees, bro. Like out there, he's a hey. Gets in the backfield when it comes to pass plays. Gets in the backfield when it comes to run plays. Right. Also can be that guy that can spin your helmet around and cause a fumble. He's been known to do. I think he had like maybe 4 or 5 of them in his career.
I was just looking at his PFF stuff. Doesn't show that for some reason, but I know what I was going to mention next was his pass rush win rate, which is 13%, which is extremely high. So this is a dude who can get in the backfield. And again, at a 4.6 flat, he's fucking getting there pretty fucking quick.
Yeah, I'm with it. I think this guy is going to be another guy right around the same, but with Diggs that gets picked, and you're like, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, okay. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to this last segment before I let you go on to your next endeavor. I know you got a busy schedule tonight. Would you rather edge Trayvon Walker, former number 1 pick, or JT Tuamala-Ula?
You know what's crazy about Walker is that he's been like okay, but the fact that he got picked ahead of Aiden Hutchinson, I think is going to like kill his like entire career because Aiden Hutchinson's just an absolute freak of nature, right?
Well, you say okay, but when you get 3.5 sacks and 5 tackles for losses, number 1 pick in your rookie year.
Yeah, it's not good. He's had 10. He's had over 10 the past
last 2 seasons. He's kind of lived up to more of it, but I don't know if he lived up to number 1 pick.
No, for sure. But the thing is like you got picked before Aiden Hutchinson, who really should have probably been the number 1 overall pick, right? So it's like I'm not going to compare it to like Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning, but it's almost into that same ilk where it's like the guy after you should have probably went 1, in my opinion, but. I'm not going to go Walker here, to be honest with you. I'm going to go with JT how the hell do you say it? How did you say it?
Tuamala-Ula.
Yeah. I'm not even going to attempt to say it. This dude is super instinctive, super strong. He's just like a force to be reckoned with. I don't think he obviously is not going to get the draft capital that Walker has, to be honest with you. But he's going to go probably early 2, maybe back end first, just depending on teams.
I think second rounder.
Yeah, I think a second round too. But it with edge rushers, that back end of the draft, the Eagles, the Chiefs, they love their fucking edge rushers, man. So it wouldn't shock me if like a team like that or Baltimore even takes a shot on a guy like this.
Yeah, he sets the edge good. He's good strength, good football IQ. You see that, the basketball background that he has in his play, the athleticism. I'm gonna take Walker here.
Okay. I mean, you can't be like you got the number 1 overall pick, right? Who's possibly getting traded.
Okay, but I think sometimes, and I'm not making excuses, but to see how he's kind of come on as of late, the last 2 seasons. Maybe that first year was a lot of pressure on him to live up to that hype, on a dog shit organization, right? Like, and who was going to be the guy for that line? Was it going to be Allen? Was it going to be Walker? They kind of had to figure it out. Could they both coexist, right? So it seems as though they had this past year. I think he's starting to put it together. I think all this trade rumor shit is just smoke. right? I don't. Why would you trade him now when he's starting
Because
to
you're not
figure it
going
out?
to get the value. Yeah.
Right, and what, you don't want to pay him? I mean, but he's not putting up numbers that produce top tier pay anyway. So you know what I mean? I think it's smoke. I think this kid's going to continue. I think this is what we're going to see, and I'm absolutely I don't think that JT's going to come in and rip off 50 plus tackles and give you double digit tackle for loss and double digit sacks. I just don't see that. Right, and I think this kid, Walker's going to give you double digit again, and I think there's a chance he might give you, another 65, 70, tackles. So I'm going to have to stay with Trayvon Walker, and that has nothing to do with the draft capital. It's got to do with what I'm seeing at the next level. And by the time JT figures it out, Walker could be one of the top tier guys in at his position. So I'll take Walker here.
I was kind of surprised when I looked it up to see Walker had 10.5 like the past 2 seasons. Like, because he kind of has because of his rookie season. He's kind of faltered off the face of the earth, and he's in Jacksonville, which isn't like a defensive powerhouse in and of itself.
Right, you know what I mean? And plus, people already had a sour taste in their mouth about him being the number 1 pick. So no matter if the dude got 15 sacks and 15 tackles for loss, I don't even think people would have been happy with that. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think they would have been happy with it. But I do think that he started to figure it out, and was starting. If you read his strengths and weaknesses, and then you read the stat sheet and you watch the film, it all meshes. It's not a Shamar Stewart. What he's supposed to do and what he's doing coincide with each other. So I'm gonna stay with Walker here. All right. Defensive tackle. Vita Vea, Tampa Bay, or Oregon's Derek Harmon?
You want me to go first on this one? I hate to do this because I know you're an Oregon guy, but like there's 90% of the league I'm not taking over Vita Vea, to be honest with you. This dude is an absolute fucking force. Bare hands, just throwing people around. Absolutely, like one of the strongest dudes on the football field, in my opinion, and just an absolute motor of a human being as well. It's almost unfair because like there's most defensive most tackles in the league I'm not taking over Vita Vea, so it's kind of hard to take Harmon over him. But I'm going with Vita Vea.
I took Vita Vea here because most people don't get better 7 years into their career. Okay, he somehow continues to get better every single season that he's played, which is insane. Like at some point, there's a plateau. But it hasn't been one for him.
You think Bowles has helped that a little bit? Todd Bowles?
Yeah, I 100%. Like that obviously plays a factor, coaching and guys around you. Harmon to me is a baby less violent Vita, and that's why I kind of put him together. They have that bull rush to him, right? They have that nastiness to him. He's not bad, he's not a bad guy, but they play very well with
that. Actually scares me more than anything else.
Yeah, he got the long hair and all that shit, dude. Like, you know what I mean? But like his spatial awareness, like his violentness that Harmon brings when he's on, bro, it's scary, and he's taking over games for Oregon. This year alone, but Vita's been top 5 in his position.
Dominant, man.
Yeah, just dominant. And he could, like I said, continues to get better. I brought it up because it's year 7. And we start to see these guys at the end of their second contract, right? Aging, defensive. He doesn't seem to be kind of being affected by the age or the wear and tear. So I'm gonna take Vita. I'm gonna stay in the NFL for back-to-back plays here. All right, last one. Defensive lineman. AJ Espinoza from Buffalo. O'Reilly Mills out of Notre Dame. And the reason I put Mills on this, okay, is because he was super dominant before the injury. But the injury being late in the season, does that affect his draft stock? Right? And can he be as dominant as what we saw? Barring the
injury. I didn't see it before.
I want to say it was, I almost want to say it was his hip injury, or maybe hold on, let me check. But I know it was, like, he was a guy for them. Knee injury.
Oh.
Yes.
Which I know with college, that's probably like your leg fell off or something like that.
Right, so. Yeah. Anything that had CL in it probably got destroyed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you tell me who you like here. AJ Espinoza has been a guy, and he has another one kind of like Vita. It's just kind of gotten better. But if you're not a dude that actually watches film or watches the games, and you just watch stats, you be like, this guy's numbers suck. But I mentioned it earlier in the episode. Buffalo is a team that will rotate.
Rotation. That's exactly where. Yeah, I think Espinoza plays the role he's supposed to play in that Buffalo Bills
Well.
defensive line. Yeah. You know, as a rotational piece, a guy who kind of just is disruptive and creates for Von Miller's gone now, but Von Miller's
Right.
Name's escaping me. Rousseau creates for Greg Rousseau as well.
Draws away the double.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go with Espinosa just because he's been a very consistent football player, like a decent, consistent guy for that Buffalo defense.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have whatever his leg falling off injury is.
Yes, I think Riley Mills has potential at the next level.
Higher upside.
I think he kind of falls dramatically because he kind of can't test. There's a lot of things he can't do. I don't know if he's going to be like the gentleman from a year ago that decided after he blew out his ACL or his Achilles, it's going to go bench and still put up 40 reps at 225. Yeah, absolutely insane. But that got him drafted where he got drafted because he was a dog and he had absolute brute strength. So I don't know if Mills can do that. I do think he'll get picked. He was a dominant force for them at a pristine school that GMs and coaches just look at that alone. But I got to go Espinosa here because when needed to play more than a rotational piece, when injuries came into factor, this dude stepped up. Last year, not this past season, but the season before, man, he filled in huge. And if it wasn't for Ebenezer, there may have been games that they had lost. So I think for a guy that doesn't have to play, I got to be the stud, right? I know my lane and I'm good at do your job. He's a product of do your job. And we're starting to see everything click for him. So I'm going to stay in the NFL once again here, and I'm going to go AJ Epineza.
I'm down with it. I'm down. You picked usually we kind of split on the college side and the NFL side, but you kind of picked a tough ones to go against on this one, especially with Vita Vea. I would have taken Vita Vea over a lot of fucking dudes. The honestly.
No, I agree. It's just he's getting older, right? You know what I'm saying? 7 years under your belt. Trayvon Walker is a lot of people that are out on him. A lot of people don't even like him no matter what he puts up for numbers, right? So, but what I'm seeing, man, I think this kid's got it figured out. So I think we're going to see another year where the needle's trending up for Trayvon Walker in 2025. Mike, I know I got to let you go. You got another show coming up. I appreciate you. Next week we're doing safeties and DBs.
Yeah,
and we'll leave the linebackers for the following week there. So we appreciate you guys, tuning into all these episodes of Road to the Draft. We got an announcement we might be bringing to you guys at the end of this all. I might be able to keep Mike locked in here on a different aspect, but still always talking football. Maybe we'll keep him in the college game a little bit, but we appreciate you guys. I'm Nino Brown. That's my guy, Mykel Anthony, one half of the Dynasty Dogs. This is CFB Nation. We out here.